Welcome, my name is Debbie Peveril and you're listening to the weekly tip from Basic Board Governance CA. This week is tip number 3 of 3 concerning privacy. What we talked about the first week was identifying the confidential information that you might have within your organization. What we talked about in the second week was figuring out who has to have access to that information. What we're going to talk about in this third tip is how you're going to protect that information from other people. So you need to think about how the information is stored and how it is disposed of. So you have retention issues, potentially. You have to figure out how long do we have to hold on to any information that we have in our possession. So if it's tax information, it's normally 7 years from the date that you had to file it. Other information might be 7 or 10 years. You should have a policy about this, among other things. What is your retention policy concerning this information? And where will it be retained? If you're going to keep your information at an outside storage location, then who has access to getting that information brought back to your organization? The earlier example we talked about was the birth dates on the charity return. If those charity returns are filed somewhere else, then the only person who should be able to look in that box to get that box brought back to the organization would be the one person, the treasurer, who's supposed to have access to that information. So you may want to get consent from those directors that anybody in management at that organization, now or in the future, is going to be allowed to have access to that, just to make it more practical for you to keep within the spirit of the laws and your policies. The next problem you have is destruction of the particular pieces of paper that you're supposed to be keeping safe. You can't take confidential information and drop it in the garbage can. I hope I'm not the first person to tell you that. You need to securely get rid of this stuff. So there's businesses that have spread up over the last few years where they shred on your premises. They come in, they shred the stuff, they drive away. And that's really important, because if somebody carries a box of your stuff out of the office and they don't shred it on the premises, and that box is in a truck that's in a car accident, or I guess a truck accident, then what's going to happen there is that box might be spewing out down the highway, and your confidential information is driving down the road when it should have been shredded. So that's why a lot of stuff gets shredded right on the premises. You need to know the privacy policies of anybody you're involved with in the retention or destruction of your documents. You need to know what procedures they are taking to make sure that the stuff you give them is being kept safe and secure. Thanks for listening. That wraps up these 3 tips on privacy. See you next week.